What is going on, guys? If you don't know me yet, my name's Tyson. Now today I am pumped to be reviewing this bike with you guys. We're looking at the Juiced Scrambler, which has been requested many times by many people over the past several months. So if you've requested it, hey, we heard you and we're covering it. Sorry it took us a little while to get our hands on it, you know, pandemic and all of that, and Juiced has just been absolutely crushing it this year, you know, getting more business than they know what to do with. So it took us a little bit to get our hands on some bikes. But here, check it out. We've got the Scrambler here for you. This is the CityScrambler, right? So this is a class 3 electric bike. You can use the throttle up to 20 miles per hour, and then if you want to use just the pedal assist, you can get up to 28 miles an hour. Only one size, but you get 3 colors here. This is the brushed aluminum, then there is also black and red. There's 2 variants for this bike. Now the one we have is the City Scrambler. There's also a Camp Scrambler, and really it's the same exact bike, and the only difference is the wheels and tires. So on the City one, you get these cast alloy arms, what Juiced Bikes calls the mag wheels, and then these tires here, these are the Canada Craze slick tires, great for pavement riding. They do have puncture protection, and honestly I've taken them off-road a bit, but if you really want to do some serious off-roading, then you're going to go for the Camp Scrambler, which has the knobby wheels and spokes. It's going to off-road much more effectively. But we can talk a little bit about the company that makes this bike, Juiced Bikes. Now, Juiced Bikes has been making electric bikes for quite some time now. And actually, if you get on their website and look at their blog, you can actually find entries going all the way back to 2009, which is super cool. I spent a lot of time reading those. I love what Tora does, who's the founder and CEO of the company. He's been, you know, doing all kinds of blogs and updates all the way since 2009 up to the present. He does production and design and product overview videos, which is really cool, right? I think they do a fantastic job of not just showcasing their products, but kind of showcasing the company and their inner workings and where they source their stuff and how they build it, which I think is awesome. Now you get free shipping, US and Canada, another great perk, and it's available online, right? Direct to consumer only is the model here, right? So if you wanted to go into a shop and, you know, test ride it or something like that, unfortunately, can't do that with these. Now the Scrambler here is a one size fits all, right? This is the only size. They recommend it for rider height 5'4" and taller. Now, if you're much taller than that, you know, 6'3", like I happen to be, not a great fit, but you know, it still is okay. Like honestly, I've gotten used to it, and I've had a blast riding around on it because the electrical system is so powerful. Now, since it's a direct-to-consumer model, they ship it to you. You've got to do some assembly when you get it. Assembly is pretty straightforward. You got to put on the handlebar there. You've got to put on the front wheel, and you've got to put on the pedals onto the cranks. You may have to tune your derailleur and also tune the brakes. Now, I didn't have to tune the brakes at all on mine. They actually just lined up perfectly. They did a really good job packing it when they shipped it to me, and so that was nice because brakes can be kind of a pain if you've got to tune those up. My derailleur is just a little bit out of alignment on the lower gears, and honestly, I've just left it that way because I don't use those lower gears very much. Assembly took me about an hour to get it put together, right? So if you don't have any experience, you know, maintaining or putting together bikes, it could be a little bit challenging just because it's a heavy bike, right? You're looking at 79.6 pounds is what I weighed it at. That can be a little bit intimidating to put together if you've never done that before. However, Juiced has excellent tutorial videos on these. They've got videos for each different part of the assembly process, which, I mean, honestly, it was fantastic. It helped out a lot. The toolkit that they give you is also better than average, right? So most e-bikes will come with some kind of a toolkit, but it's frequently like a little multi-tool, right? That works, but not very fun or easy to work with. Juiced gives you quite a few high-quality tools, makes that assembly process much easier. Now, whether you are a tall rider or a short rider, then I think the ride experience is going to be pretty similar, and I would describe it as, in terms of seating position, very comfortable. It's a nice upright seating position. You've got these high-rise handlebars here that also have a pretty good back sweep to them. I mean, not a lot, but enough that it's really easy to have that upright seating position here. It feels great to sit on it. Pedaling, not so much, right? Full leg extensions, not really going to happen unless you're right at the bottom end of that 5'4". If you're really tall like me, then it's pretty cramped, right? Now, it's not really a big deal on a bike like this because the electrical system is very powerful. I think these mini bikes are designed more electrical drivetrain first, and then human power is like the augment or the assistant to that. So you want to make sure you don't get stuck without any battery power. That wouldn't be super pleasant to ride that back. But I've gotten used to it, right? I've put about, I think I'm getting, right around 90 miles on this thing so far. And I've gotten used to pedaling on it. You know, my legs feel fine. The first couple of rides, my knees hurt a little bit, but I got used to it. So yeah, I think it works just fine as long as you know what to expect. I really like the frame on the Scrambler. And, you know, it's a similar frame to what you might see on some other electric mini bikes. I like the brushed aluminum color just because it gives it this rugged sort of look and feel to it, right? It feels very sturdy. You know, you get the frame and then those big old mag wheels there. So it feels rock solid while also being surprisingly nimble, you know, especially for the weight. It does not feel like it weighs almost 80 pounds, right? Now, some of that might be that, you know, I'm used to riding motorcycles, right? I've owned quite a few of them in my life. This feels kind of like a motorcycle, especially with those wheels on it. And so by comparison, you know, it's so much lighter and more nimble. It really is quite maneuverable, whether that's, you know, just riding around on, you know, city streets, jumping curbs and stuff like that, or, you know, tackling some trails and stuff. I've done some off-roading and it felt great, honestly. Like, even though it's got the city tires on it, you can still do a little bit of off-roading and have a blast. Overall, the ride feel very comfortable, especially if you're used to riding, say, a road bike or a more typical commuting platform. So you got this banana seat here, nice and soft foam, about 3 inches thick on there, and you've got about 25 inches to work with in terms of length. You could fit 2 people on here, but it'd be real cramped. You don't have foot pegs, so I think it's best for just one person. Oh yeah, nice and soft. You've got the suspension fork up here. Really helps to smooth out those bumps in the road. 32 millimeter steel stanchions, about 100 millimeters of travel on that. Now this is a coil suspension, right? So not quite as high performing or not as lightweight as an air suspension, but performs great. You've got lockout on this side here, and then you've got your preload over on the left. So you can get that dialed in whether you're really lightweight or a little bit on the heavier side, so that you get a good performance out of it. Weight capacity on this bike is 275 pounds, so that also is, you know, gonna kind of limit if you were to try and take a passenger on there. Tires do help out with the, you know, comfort side of things, right? These are fat tires here, 4.25 or, you know, 4 1/4 inches by 20. They got some extra air cushion in there. Now normally with fat tires, I'll talk about how you can let that pressure down to get even more comfort and then tackle some really soft terrain. But I have not tried that with these, and honestly, it feels like it's kind of missing the point of these tires, right? It's all about efficiency, good rolling efficiency, that nice slick tread. So if you were to lower the pressure down, you would lose all of that efficiency there. So I've got mine inflated pretty close to the max. I got them up at 30 PSI where the max is 35. Comfort feels great. Honestly, it's been fantastic. The cockpit up here, we'll jump in here so we can take a look at it. You know, nice upright seating position. I like the sweep back just a little bit on here. Good rise on these so that I can have a nice upright seating position to it. The grips here are this sort of like the weird rubberized texture, not locking, so you can turn them if you really bear down on them, but I've only, like, I've done that when I've just tested them, but I haven't had any problem with them twisting around while I'm riding the bike normally, so don't think that that's a problem. I'm just kind of go around the cockpit here. Something funny on my bike that you might have already noticed is that my shifter here, the Shimano, it's the Revoshift, right? This is their half grip twist shifter, is upside down for the little display window here. Functionally, it doesn't really matter. It still, you know, still works exactly the same. It's just a twist shifter, but that, yeah, must have been a goof up at the factory when they were putting it together. I've just left it because, you know, it doesn't really matter to me. On the right side over here, you've got the twist throttle. Very, you know, motorcycle feel. If you've ridden motorcycles before, you'll feel it right at home with that. It is a variable throttle on there. Brake levers up here are 3-finger levers. These are Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. I believe it's the like HD E350 is the model number on those. Good solid brakes, right? 100 millimeter rotors up there in the front and the rear, dual piston calipers. Really excellent braking performance from those. Especially when you got a heavy bike like this, you know, tipping the scales at just under 80 pounds, you need some good stopping power. So those more than get the job done. They've got motor inhibitors on the brakes too, so they'll cut power to the motor just as soon as you squeeze those levers. Really good job with their cables up here, got everything all bunched up. And their connectors, they've got the high quality metal connectors on here that just helps to make those a little bit more resilient and durable, right? So I like that, good attention to quality. So speaking of that shifter there, let's take a look at the rest of the human-powered drivetrain side of things. Pretty basic setup here. I mean, honestly, it is, you know, it's very similar to most of the electric mini bikes out there. So it's like I said, think of it electrical system first, human powered is the assistance to that, right? Big chain ring up on the front here. I think it's this 56 tooth steel chain ring there. They've got the great, I think it's the Pro Wheel alloy guide, double-sided guide on here. Protects the chain ring, protects the chain, helps keep the chain from bouncing off too, right? So if you take some bumps, jump a curb, something like that, that'll keep the chain from jumping off of there. And I have definitely, you know, put it through its paces, curbs and bumps and you name it at high speed. Haven't lost the chain once. That is awesome. Derailleur back here. This is the Shimano Tourney. This is the entry level from Shimano. It's still a good durable derailleur, right? But it's not as high performing, not as high quality as some of their other stuff, Altus, Alivio, and further up the Shimano family. And then back here we've got a freewheel, not a cassette. So freewheels are not as good a quality, a little bit more basic, right? Still gets the job done here. This is the Shimano Mf Tz 500-7. See this all over the place. It's got a pretty limited range, right? That's the main thing that I don't like for this, is that it's a 14 to 28 tooth range back here. It just limits what you can do in terms of riding it, right? So that 28 teeth right there for the first gear, you can't take on very steep of inclines on pedal power alone. So I've said this a few times already, but on a bike like this, you really want to be relying on the electrical system more. If you had to pedal this up some steep inclines using only your pedal power, you're going to be getting quite a workout. Then on the high end there, that 14 tooth cog for speed number 7, that is just barely enough in my opinion for the setup of this bike, right? It's a class 3, so you can get up to 28 miles per hour. And in, with this freewheel here, you're gonna be really cycling those cranks quick. You're gonna have a very high cadence up at that 28 mile per hour. So, it gets the job done. Like I said, I would like to see a little bit bigger range, but honestly for the setup, I think it's fine. 28 miles per hour is very fast on a bike, right? If you haven't ridden on one that fast before, you give it a try first, because right around 25 will probably feel pretty good for you. Cranks here are Pro Wheel, forged alloy, full size, right, 170 millimeter, which is nice. There's some mini bikes that have them shortened down a little bit. These ones are, they get fairly close to the ground. I've definitely been worried about hitting them while turning, so don't pedal while you're turning, especially not turning sharp. The Wellgo alloy platform pedals here. See these a lot as well. These are great pedals. I like them because they're pretty wide. If you got big feet like me, then that works out pretty well for you. They've got the pins on here for traction and reflectors. One thing that I would like to see that's not on here is a derailleur guard, right? So a steel derailleur guard would sit right here, protect that derailleur, keep it from getting damaged if you bump something or tip the bike over. It's also really nice for shipping, right? So these bikes get shipped to you, so the derailleur guard would help to keep any damage from happening to this area. I think mine got bumped and knocked out of alignment a little bit, so if I stay towards the higher gears on the right side here, it's fine, but then if I try to ship down further, near 1, 2, and 3, get a lot of clicking. It's definitely not lined up right. I haven't really worried about it just because I don't use those gears very much. I tend to stay in the higher ones, right at higher speeds, and use the throttle when I'm starting. So I haven't worried about it, but that's, if you buy one of these, you may have to tune the derailleur after you receive it. All right, so let's jump in and talk about the electrical system here. All right, now Juiced has a fantastic setup. They are really making a name for themselves in terms of their battery platform. They are one of the few in the industry that has the 52 volt electrical system here. 52 volts, 13 amp hour, nice high capacity on this battery, and there's actually an extended battery option for it. You can go for 52 volts, 19.2 amp hours. Absolutely massive. You get huge range out of that. That is going to run you, an extra $500 if you did want to do that. And honestly, I think that this one is more than sufficient. You're talking about 20 to 25 miles of range if you are really, like have that cranked up into race mode, using the throttle a lot, using it as much as you can on the electrical system. If you switch that over to Eco, Eco maybe level 1, you can get much farther range. The longest ride that I've done on here was 28 miles using a mix of Eco and level 1 and a little bit of throttle. After doing those 28 miles, I had just under the halfway point on the battery readout. So plenty of range if you're willing to pedal a bit more, which you may just want to do to get some more exercise. Got the charge port for the battery right here. It's very easy to access. This is one of these swivel caps right here. It's not a great seal, not really a seal at all, honestly. And so I do kind of worry that it would get water in there if you were riding in heavy rain. You should try not to ride in heavy rain anyways, but Now that's something to be aware of there. You could put some tape over it if you have to ride in the rain and you're really concerned about that. I do like the positioning up here pretty high. It's away from the cranks, right? So if you got it plugged in on the bike, you don't have to worry about the cranks hitting it and getting, you know, all tangled up in it. Not quite as much of a risk as if you have the charge port way down here. I have to pop this thing off of the bike. Let me get my keys out here. This is easier to do with two hands, but I should be able to manage it with one. It's a spring-loaded setup for the key here, right? So you turn it here to unlock it, but then it'll swing back and lock there. So if we hold it down right, hold it down right here, then we can pop the battery off to the side. This thing is hefty. 10.1 pounds on here. They really pack those cells in there. Now it does not have any like a USB port or anything, so you can't charge any extra devices. There's no, you know, readout of the power when it's off the bike, which is, you know, fine. You don't need that. It is a nice convenience thing though. You can see the fuses right down there on the bottom. Yeah, quite a bit of heft to it. And remember, this is the low capacity battery, so if you get that 19.2 amp hour there, that thing has got to have some serious weight to it. All right, see if I can get this back in here. Now it does have a click when you slide it in all the way. Not very loud, but you know, enough that you can hear that click. Know with confidence that you got it in there all the way. Yeah, there's the battery. We'll move around here. We can check out the motor. Rear hub motor back here. This is a great setup here because it's the 20-inch wheels here that gives you a good mechanical advantage for the motor since it's positioned in the rear hub there. This is a Bafang rear hub motor that is drawing power at 750 watts, peaks at, you know, around 1,000 or so. And these ones, great torque from these motors. You're looking at 80 Newton meters of torque, so great job if you're accelerating off a stoplight or something like that, taking on inclines, anything like that. It's a blast to ride. It feels super zippy and powerful. Now for the controller, let's see if we can get you a good view. That is under the seat here. So you can see mine is quite dirty, right? But it's, you know, it's protected. I mean, that whole panel right there is to protect that controller. I believe that's a 25 amp controller here. I will say, you know, quick detour that I would recommend getting fenders for these, just because it's, if you're riding in any kind of bad weather or even like after it rained, everything is going to get very messy just from the layout of this bike, right? So the rear wheel is going to get mud and gunk all over in here. My battery got super dirty from one ride. You can still see some in the battery ring there. So it'd definitely be worth getting the fenders. You can get fenders from Juiced for 150 bucks. You can install some third party yourself. Honestly, if I was going to be keeping this bike, that'd probably be the first accessory I'd get for it. All right, so moving back to the electrical system, I'm going to dive into the controls up here. Now, Juiced has the same display on all their bikes. And honestly, I'm a big fan of these displays, right? I love grayscale LCD as it is, but this one's got a lot of good readouts on it. And Juiced has some fantastic videos where they, you know, really dive into their displays and the advanced settings and everything. So definitely check those out. I'll have a link to that in the written review. But for now, we will jump in here and see if we can get this camera positioned so that there's not too much glare. All right, this should be a pretty good angle for the screen. Now these screens are not removable, but they are adjustable for angle. You can swivel that around on there pretty easily. Now the power button is right here on the back. Now before you can power it on there, you've got to turn on the battery, right? So the button for that is right down here on the top center. It's got the green ring that will show up when it is powered on, then we can power on the display. All right, so it is backlit just a little bit, and then if you turn on the headlights, it'll be, you know, very backlit. All right, so this display it's kind of mixed in terms of the visibility, right? It's got that good grayscale contrast, so very easy to see in terms of that. Speed, especially on the right, very easy to see. There's your assist mode on the bottom left. Right now it's in eco. All the rest of the stuff on here, pretty small print, right? So if you're writing this and you're like, you know, sitting back here, definitely a little bit harder to see those finer numbers. However, you don't really need those just while you're riding, right? It's not a big deal. You can lean in to look close if you need to. Bottom right down there, that's the odometers. You can see I've got 91 miles on it. Up in the top right, that's the battery readout. They've got 9 or 10 bars on these. Really good, precise battery readout, right? Better than having just maybe 3 or 5 or, you know, 4 or 5 bars on there. And Juiced does a good job with this too, where it's it's actually estimating your battery capacity as opposed to just reading the current voltage, right? So if you've ever ridden an e-bike where the battery meters seem to fluctuate, right, it would be at, you know, 50%, and then you would hit the throttle heavily and it would drop down to 25%, and then it goes back up after you let go of the throttle. These ones don't do that. It's much more steady, right? So it'll just slowly go down as you're using the bike. Gives you a much better idea of how much you've got remaining, which I think is pretty awesome, right? So if you wanted to turn on the headlight, then you would do that from right here. Hold down that plus button. You'll see the headlight indicator come on there, and it is a bright light. Like, it is it is awesome, right? It's very very powerful direct beam. I don't know if we'll be able to, yeah, I'll film some footage of that a little bit later when it's dark, but it's a great headlight. The tail light, actually, here, we'll come back here so you can see that. Tail light is not integrated, so it doesn't turn on with the headlight. You've got to press this button on the back here to power that up. Now, it's pretty bright. You got 3 LEDs here. It's a Star Union is the brand on it, powered by 2 AAA batteries. You can short press the power button, and that'll get you the flashing variant. Short press again to go back to solid, and then long press to turn it off. So you got to remember to turn that on and off manually, which is kind of a bummer. You also got to change the batteries, obviously, if they die. So not quite as easy as having it integrated, but hey, a tail light like this is still better than having no tail light, so I do appreciate having it there. Moving back up to the display here, we'll turn off those lights just so we don't need them right now. Now, you've got a lot of levels of assist on here. It almost feels excessive if you're using all of them a lot, but you can shift that all the way down to 0. Riding the bike just like a bike, right? And then even when it's in 0, you can still, you know, use that throttle. It's still live, so if you just wanted to cruise around on the throttle without having to worry about pedal assist, then you can do that. You can go up to Eco here. Eco is designed to cancel out the weight of the bike. So riding an Eco is about what it'd be like to ride a bike that, you know, doesn't have all this extra weight on it. And then you can go up from there, level 1, level 2, level 3, and then after that you get Sport, and then Race mode, which is just full power. Very fun to ride in this mode, especially if you're, you know, riding in traffic, trying to get somewhere in a hurry. You can actually, you know, pedal that all the way up to and beyond 28 miles per hour pretty easily, thanks to how efficient these tires are. But you are going to be, you know, really using that battery pack if you're riding at that high speed in race mode. I'm talking 20-25 miles max range on it. And honestly, having it down here in 3 felt like about the same performance. All things considered, saved you some battery. I've actually done most of my riding either down in Eco or in 1. And, you know, honestly, I like riding it in Eco, and then I'll just, you know, use the throttle to get started off a stoplight, or if I need to accelerate past something, got a brief incline, and then just ride it in Eco normally, because I get some exercise. And once you get going, it's very easy to maintain speed. It's just such a efficient rolling platform. I'm a big fan of that. Now, you can get some advanced readouts on here by holding down the power and the plus at the same time. Then you get a whole bunch more readouts here for, you know, watt hours and amp hours on the battery. You got the temperature here. There's the exact odometer, 92.2 miles, 18.8 watt hours per mile. Definitely check out the written review for that link to the, you know, breakdown on everything that you can do with these displays. But overall, I'm a big fan, right? It's nice and small. It's not obtrusive. It's just kind of out of the way. It gets all the basics right and lets you just focus on riding. So I'm a big fan of that setup. All right, we got a few more things to cover on here. I'm a big fan of these tires. I've mentioned them a couple times already. Kenda Craze with the KS puncture resistant tire casing on it, right? So these are just, they're super durable. Great rolling efficiency on here with that slick tread. You got the reflective striping on the sidewalls, plus the rims right there, the cast alloy arms are reflective as well, so good side visibility. I mean, you even got the reflector, right? So awesome side visibility here. These things are just super sturdy, super durable, right? You don't ever have to worry about, you know, getting your wheels trued, breaking spokes, anything like that. And these, I mean, I think they're fantastic. They're super fun to ride on. They can handle some off-roading too. I mean, I've been doing quite a bit of that. I've also got the charger over here, so you guys can check that out. Nothing to write home about here. Pretty standard charger, right? You're looking at 1.4 pounds for the weight of it. So it's, that does not belong here. All right, 1.4 pounds on the charger here. 2 amps, so, you know, it's standard, right? That's what we see with most electric bikes. 2 amps is a pretty slow charging experience, especially with the capacity of this battery. You'd probably be looking at 5 to 6 hours to charge it all the way from empty to full. Now, you shouldn't be running your battery out all the way to empty. It's better if you charge it before you get below 20% on it, just for your maximum battery life, right? But yeah, so that's the charger for you. It's very small, right? Very easy to just toss in a bag and take with you. Definitely a fan of that. All right, so we're out here quite a ways from the city now. We're up here near Horsetooth Reservoir, near Fort Collins. The reservoir is beautiful right now. Yeah, there's Fort Collins right back down there. So came up here I want to test the climbing ability. We're going to ride up that hill right there, and then I also want to just get some speed going downhill, right? Really put the weight and strength of this to the test, see how good those tires do bombing down these hills. I've done this on a road bike before, but never on something like this. So let's get to it. I am going to, I'll put it in level 3 on the assist here. Move that down so you guys can hopefully see it. It's not very bright, so it might be kind of difficult to see on the camera. And we're off. Very easy pedaling right here. It's pretty much flat. We'll drop that down to 1. All right, so I'm in gear 4. I'm gonna actually shift that down to 3, 2, shift up that electric. So I'm on 3 right now for assist, right? And I haven't even gone up into sport or race. I'm trying to do some work here, but not too bad, honestly. I don't think I'm gonna have to go up higher, and then if I wanted to, I use the throttle, and now we're accelerating. Oh yeah. Feels good, feels great. This is definitely out of the element for the Scrambler, coming this far up in the mountains, but performing solid, honestly. And I'm excited to turn around and bomb back down. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. All right, good a spot as any. We're just going to get turned around here. I'm actually going to just drop it all the way down to eco. See how fast we can get going. I'm gonna let off the pedaling and just cruise. Let those folks go past. All right, here we go. Slow down a bit so you guys can hear me. We hit 39.6 miles per hour on that downhill. Felt rock solid stable. Definitely would not want to do that on most bikes, but this one, I mean, it feels solid, honestly. It feels a lot more like a motorcycle than it does on like a bicycle, especially on those downhills. Do a little off-road in here. Yeah, with these city tires, you lose out on traction, right? But they still handle the off-roads just fine. Get over on the right side of the road here. They do feel best on the pavement though. Very, very good rolling efficiency. So we hit 36 on that one. Not quite as fast as before, but Still quite fast. It feels blazing fast on a bicycle. I'm gonna pop that on up to race mode. So if you wanted to really get as much speed as you can out of this when you're riding on more typical flat terrain like this is what you'd be doing, right? So bump that all the way up to race, and you know, pretty quick you're getting up there to 28. You can actually pedal past 28, but the motor won't help you. Yeah, I'm hitting about 29 here. Very, very fast pedal cadence, as you can see here. I'm really pumping it. It doesn't feel very difficult, but higher cadence than I would like. And I probably look ridiculous being so tall on this small bike pedaling so fast, but you know, we're cruising 28 miles an hour easy. As you can tell from my speaking here, I'm not out of breath. It's pretty easy to maintain this for longer distances. So this is really nice if you're just trying to get across town in a hurry. I moved it down to level 3 instead of being in race mode, and honestly, it still feels the same in terms of how much work I'm doing to maintain this speed. So honestly, I think you could, you know, don't go any higher than 3. You still get more than enough speed out of the bike. Having that class 3 capability, really nice for riding like this, just kind of riding around town. Allows you to ride in and out of and with traffic a lot easier than if you could only go 20 miles an hour. Especially when it's, you know, you have that much acceleration ready to go. Bump it up to race mode again here, so we can really take off from this stoplight so that you can see what the acceleration is like. It's one of the most fun parts about riding this bike, honestly, is it's got just some crazy acceleration. You can easily keep pace with traffic or outpace them even. So I'll start off with the throttle and pedaling. Like, look at that, we're already past 25. So just absolutely wild acceleration for an e-bike. If you are, you know, more of a speed demon, thrill seeker type, then you will feel right at home on one of these. A little high-speed off-roading. Oh, it's a big bump. Woo! Chain definitely bouncing a lot on there, but not enough to fall off. And this is what I was talking about earlier. Like, I have really pushed this thing with some of the off-roading and mean bumps, curb jumping, that kind of stuff. And so far, it's just held up like a champ. Chain does get pretty loud, bouncing around, but that's to be expected. As long as it doesn't fall off, then we're good there. Riding at high speeds, especially at those high levels of assist, that does come at a cost, right? I mean, I've seen the battery drop down a couple ticks just while we've been riding and filming this part. So if you are really pushing it, you know, riding it at that class 3 speed, right near 28 miles an hour, high levels of assist, that's when you'd expect your range to probably be 20 to 25 miles. Still pretty good, but nothing compared to what you can get if you were to ride it down on those lower levels and a little bit lower speed. Brake test. Go this way. And I'm going to turn on the lights just because it's, you know, getting dark here. It's not super dark yet, but get that extra visibility. You can even kind of see the light on the grass there, even even in the daylight here. It is a powerful beam. Turn the tail light on back here as well. I'm just going to leave it on. I'll turn on the flashing. Make sure that people can see me all right. So, you know, seating position wise on here, I sit pretty close to the back of the saddle. It's where I feel the most comfortable. And, you know, as you can see, even scooted back right here, not getting close to full leg extensions on it, but I do have a very nice upright seating position, right? It feels super comfy. Honestly, this is, especially compared to my road bike and some of my other e-bikes that I've ridden, like this is, it feels great. Love the cockpit on here. Get turned around here and head back out onto the road. I've got it in eco here, right? But I'm actually just going to turn that down to 0, and we're just going to take off on the throttle and zoom around on that a bit. You know, even from a dead stop, it's still got some impressive acceleration. Let me adjust my camera here. The excellent acceleration here. Just going on the throttle, it really takes off. And it's a surprisingly nimble bike, right? And, you know, for being something that weighs 80 pounds and having those big old wheels up there, feels surprisingly nimble, you know, even on these, you know, very tight turns type of stuff. Ooh, we can test out the throttle on this incline up here. I actually haven't tried it over here, so we'll see how it does. See if the throttle can handle this all on its own. Oh yeah, we're definitely, you know, making it work, but we made it, so that was pretty impressive there. All right, so switching over to just do some pedaling, right? When I'm riding down here in 0, it's a pretty hefty bike. I'm gonna shift this down a little bit. Now, I think I mentioned this already, that my derailleur is not perfectly lined up back there. It's good enough, right? I've only really shifted down to around gear 4 or so. 'Cause even at these, you know, lower speeds, it's pretty good, right? Pretty decent cadence. Now, if I shift up to eco here, that's just enough motor power to cancel out the weight of the bike, right? And riding it here, it feels pretty great, honestly. It feels easy. I already need to shift up here. We are on a little bit of a downhill incline here, so we'll get up onto the flat away here. So riding it here in eco, it feels pretty good, right? I'm having to put in some work, but definitely still accelerating. And it's, well, here we'll turn into the parking lot here. This is a lot of fun to ride like this, right? Because you've still got the throttle. So if you need to accelerate for any reason, you can just hit that throttle, take off, very quickly get up to that 20 miles per hour. And then, you know, from here, pedaling in eco just feels great. It feels awesome. Very easy to maintain speed. Got that nice upright seating position, right? I love the feel of the cockpit, right? It feels sporty and sturdy. It's an awesome setup, in my opinion. Very stable setup too, right? Surprisingly easy to ride no-handed. Typically these mini bikes and the smaller platforms are a little bit more difficult to ride no-handed, but I've had no problems on this one here. Come off here onto the dirt trail. Now on this trail, it's probably going to be kind of hard to see because it's not very dark yet, but you can get a little bit of a strobe light effect from this headlight here. That's because it's mounted on the lower part of the suspension fork, right? It's mounted on the bottom of it, so it's going to bounce up and down with that, you know, with the wheel, with the lower part of the fork here. So if you're in on really bumpy roads, kind of gets a little bit of a strobe light effect from the light bouncing. It's not a big deal, but if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, that could get annoying, especially if you're on a really long night ride. However, as far as riding on these trails go, you know, more dirt trails, dirt roads, got some bumps and whatnot, it feels great. The suspension fork does a good job, the fat tires, good volume of air, so that's some good comfort. You got the foam banana seat, so it feels very comfy. And even though these are city tires, you got that slick tread, it still feels very comfortable and very very sturdy, I guess. I feel like I have good traction. So this, you know, right here, this is a great spot for the throttle. Don't have to shift down at all, just hit the throttle, accelerate up this hill. It's awesome. When it comes to, you know, like fun to ride, this bike is definitely near the top of my list, right? Even though the pedaling experience isn't super comfy, it's still just, oh, it's so much fun to just tear around on. It's easy to get going fast since you got the throttle to help you get up there. And then once you're going fast, the pedaling still feels pretty good, honestly. When we're riding an eco like this, motor's pretty quiet, right? I can barely hear it. I doubt it's picking up on the camera at all. Now, when you get shifted on up to, you know, all the way up into like sport or race mode, definitely a little bit more audible. And actually I can just show you some of that on the throttle so that you can hear that in action. So that got us all the way up to that, 20 miles per hour top speed for the throttle. Still not very loud. You can hear it, but compared to a lot of other e-bikes I've ridden, especially with the 750 watt motors, pretty quiet, honestly. I'm impressed with it. It's, the volume doesn't really matter all that much. It can be nice if you're wanting to be a little bit more stealthy, but a bike like this is not stealthy, so it doesn't really matter too much. I think it's just because it's in the like a thicker casing back there with those cast alloy, the cast alloy setup. Now you're working with a cadence sensor for the pedal assist. I think Juiced has done a really good job with tuning this sensor, right? It's pretty responsive, kicks in fairly quickly. It'll typically take me about a half a revolution of the cranks to get it to kick in, whereas some e-bikes can actually take quite a bit longer for that cadence sensor. Now with a cadence sensor here, it's not a torque sensor, so it's not as responsive, and it's it's kind of like it's either on or off, right? It's not going to adjust to how much pressure you put on the cranks. It'll just, once it detects that you're pedaling, it'll start helping you out according to the level of assist that you have set. Now this can be a pro or a con. If you prefer to have it be a bit more responsive, you might want a torque sensor bike, but cadence sensors are a lot more affordable, and they're also great if you have, like, let's say some knee sensitivity, right? So it's hard for you to put a lot of pressure on the cranks. Cadence sensors don't care, they just need you to be cycling them. So it can be a great setup for you if that is something that you need. Now I'll give you a look at it just so you can get a sense for the timing of it, right? Because it is pretty responsive. It kicks in pretty quick. I've got it up in level 3 just so the motor will be loud enough that you can hear it. So it might be kind of hard for you guys to hear, but it kicks in very quickly, a half a revolution or so on the cranks. But then once it's going, it keeps going for a decent amount of time after you stop pedaling, right? You stop pedaling and you get a good full second or two before it shuts off. So fortunately, that's not a big deal here because you got the motor inhibitors on the brakes, right? So if you squeeze those brake levers, that'll cut that power to the motor. Really nice if you have to stop suddenly, that way you're not, fighting against the motor. I think the CityScrambler name is fitting because it feels very at home in a city setting like this, especially the acceleration. I mean, look at this. We're like about just about keeping pace with traffic there for at least that 0 to 20. I wasn't planning on being out here riding this late at night, but it works out so you guys can check out the headlight there. So pretty bright, and pretty well focused. I think they have a good balance here with having just enough of a wide spread that you can see enough side to side on the trail, but get some good range out of it, right? Do a little bit of late night off-roading. Really good lights test. You can kind of see that strobe light effect that I was talking about on some of these bigger bumps, right, where the light is bouncing up and down with that suspension fork. Really not bad, but especially once you know to look for it, it's noticeable. So, if I just ruined that for you, sorry about that. All right, guys, I would love to keep going here, but it is getting dark. I got to start heading back towards home. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. If you've got questions or comments about this review, then chime in down in the comments section. I would love to hear from you. You can always catch us back at ElectricBikeReview.com. We've got the full written review for the Scrambler there. That includes all the specs and measurements. We've got some awesome tools where you can compare it head-to-head against different bikes to help you, pick that perfect one for you. All right, guys, ride safe out there. We'll see you next time.